So hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I am sitting here with the recovering Democrat, Donovan Saadiq. And this is the Demetra K Show. It's the podcast and the YouTube channel where it's just Donovan and I. We're going to probably argue a little bit, probably a lot. I don't know. We'll see, because we don't really discuss too much what we're going to talk about before we do it.
That keeps it spicy. Keeps it nice and spicy.
Does. So we're going to talk about the recent smash and grab that happened in Los Angeles, California. And I'm going to show you all the pictures and videos in just a minute. But, you know, we feel like we need to also take our people to task as well. You know, we can't continue to take white supremacy to task and then gloss over the foolishness of our people, right? Never is it in jest or to try to make fun or get a kiki and a ha-ha. It's always going to be from an educational and some entertainment, because, you know, Donovan and I can be kind of silly sometimes, but we want to see how we can avoid these things from happening. But before we get into that, Donovan, what say you?
Hey, you guys, welcome to the podcast. It's good to see you guys here to be with us. Please do not mind my glasses. These are my new Urkel reading glasses. So you see like a lot of refraction on them because they're brand new and I'm trying to get used to them. So, you know, bear with me on that. But yeah, I mean, you're right, though. You know, you can't be talking about the other man if you can't even talk about the brother man when the truth is the truth. So, you know, we got some issues here because you're seeing a lot of these, especially here on the West Coast, a lot of these people stashing and dashing right in broad camera, looking right at the camera. You know, they make it seem like the white man ain't going to come back and get them. The white man has nothing but time. And so, and it's really telling when I see these young women doing it, because why is it concerning to me, Demetra? Is because these women are going to be mothers one day. So if they're doing that right now, and probably some of them are mothers that are actually still doing it, what the hell are they teaching their kids? So, you know, it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. So let me go ahead and get into it. So on the 28th, I believe it was, of May is shortly leaving. Can y'all imagine it's already June?
Man, the time is flying by quick.
Exactly. So a TikToker, this because this is where this video was found, named Jessica Ortiz, says she was at the Cerritos Mall. I was like, Cerritos?
Oh, man. Did that mall still open? I remember going back there in the early 90s.
But it said it's in Los Angeles. So I'm like, is Cerritos Mall in Los Angeles? Or is
it's in Los Angeles County. It's in Los Angeles County.
So anyway, is at a Sephora at Cerritos Mall in Los Angeles County. And she said the following. I'm going to show y'all the video. So here we go. Is this the video?
Oh, yeah, I saw this one.
Oh, my God.
He should have been busting some caps.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Queens, huh? Queens.
He's just right there. Oh my God. Oh my.
All right.
Queens.
So, well. I don't know if those were necessarily queens because
there was a couple dudes there. There was a couple dudes.
That looked like a man to me.
Yeah, that was a dude. You could tell by his sagging, dirty ass, stanky ass draws.
Look at his booty crack right there.
Exactly. Exactly.
These look like dudes. I'm just gonna see.
The burgundy is a female.
That's probably that. That looks like a woman's behind, but the other two look like men.
Dudes. Yep.
Yeah. So as you can see they're there at the Dior counter and the Bobbi Brown makeup. Now, if you've ever been into a Sephora, which you might have, as a woman, surely I'm sure that you have. And as a man, you might have been in the mall with your girlfriend or your wife, and she's like,
got dragged in there. Yeah.
Go to Sephora and spend all of your paycheck on makeup, right? Because makeup at Sephora is pretty expensive. But not only do they
but if you got to spend all your paycheck on some makeup, you might want to change girlfriends or wives.
I mean, people are serious about their makeup, and so. I go to Sephora every once in a while. And in Sephora, not only do they just have like lipstick and eyeliner, they have expensive perfumes like a Tom Ford, Gucci, Dior, And I mean, in some of the products in there, a little tube like that could cost you $100 for skin care or whatever.
Yeah,
it
but
is,
Demetria, you only go in there for the lipstick.
and barely even that. I actually go in there for my eyeliner and stuff because the cheap stuff just don't get it right. But I don't wear, makeup or nothing like that, just stuff on my eyes. So anyway, that stuff is pretty expensive in there. So I guess I can see why they targeted a Sephora to do a smash and grab, because y'all saw they had like 3 hefty bags. So I'm sure they got thousands of dollars in merchandise just in those bags alone. But as y'all could also see, that was our folks. Doing the smash and grab, and they weren't even kind of in a rush. I mean, they were, but it was like, we're just, gonna take it now. If you go inside of a mall, stores are inside the mall. So not only they got to run out of the store, but then they got to run out of the mall. But as you also saw, the Sephora employees, which every time I've gone to Sephora, they are nice people, very helpful, just nice people.
Yep.
And as you saw, they were standing there just like, okay. And I applaud them for not doing anything because, listen, no makeup is worth your life. If it means that much to you, then you take it. But I'm not going to try to tackle you and none of that stuff. But
I don't think the employer is paying them that much to do that.
No. So a lot of times in our community, we don't want to talk about this side of, what happens, right? We always want to talk about the oppressor, white supremacy. And now listen, I'm not absolving white supremacy of anything that they're doing, right? Because as Farrakhan said, we didn't create the N-word, white people did. And as I always quote James Baldwin, he says, but yeah, we act like that, right? We've embraced it. And so we act upon that. And so we need to talk about these things, not for salaciousness, if you will, but to see what is the cause of it and how can we stop it? Like what needs to be done? Because those people seem like they were fairly young. It didn't seem like no super grown people like Donovan, he's like 90. It didn't seem like nobody that old. It seemed like maybe they were in their young 20s, I guess, somewhere around there.
Young folks.
So what do we need to do? So Donovan, what's your opinion on what you saw?
Well, with jobs aplenty all over the place, and I think McDonald's is paying people at $16 an hour out here in California, doing all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's jobs aplenty. I don't see at this point how, you would rather risk going to jail, putting something on your permanent record, and then you get caught, because eventually they're going to get caught. They're going to track these people down. Eventually, with digital age and all these cameras and stuff, they're going to get them. And then those are going to be the people talk about the white man did this to me. No, you did it to yourself. There's jobs aplenty right now. So number one, I was always taught this by my parents and my grandparents and people. There's only 2 reasons actually to steal. 2. Number 1 is food. Hey, I needed to take some bread off the shelf because my family's starving. I had no other option. I'm starving. Food. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is like your baby's needs, your baby's, medicine, food and medicine. Basically, your baby's sick, you need to do something, and there was actually a case of a woman actually that had done that like 20 something years ago. Of course, they put her in jail, Black woman. And, she did it because she needed the medicine. She couldn't afford the medicine, whatever. So makeup, TVs, VCRs, iPods, and all, that is no reason to steal, because that is a want, not a need. And it's just so sad, because these are going to be the same people that are going to be blaming the white man. Same people.
We need to take a commercial break right here. Did you say VCRs and iPods?
Yeah, iPods and things like that.
Who's stealing the VCR nowadays?
Well, you guys know where I'm going with that. The Blu-ray, whatever you call it. I still got a VCR, damn it. Because they don't make certain movies like they used to. You know what I mean? It's kind of like having those old records. You want that vinyl sound. You know what I mean? So I put my VCR in so I can get that little rattle and pop.
Yeah, I'm like, are you rewinding it if it gets caught up in the tape too with a pencil?
Yeah, that's it. That's classic. You guys are laughing now, but in 20 years, that VCR is going to be worth a couple thousand.
I was like, all right, maybe they're stealing VCRs now. I don't know. Yeah, but So like I agree with you. There's jobs and stuff going on. I don't think there's a need to steal makeup. Like we know that they're probably they're probably what you call boosters, where people go steal high end stuff and then they sell it or boost it. They boost it and then they go sell it back to their friends. Oh, you know what? I got this Bobby Brown eyeshadow. It goes in Sephora for $100, but I'm gonna give it to you for 50, right? So that's probably what they're doing, stealing it to go sell it out on the streets or whatever. Because you know, people gonna buy makeup. I don't care, you know, where it comes from. For the most part, women, dudes nowadays, they're gonna buy makeup. So that's probably why they were doing it. But to your point, there's jobs out there, and so if you need money, why risk having to go make license plates for 5 cents a day? You know, because that's what's gonna happen.
And like take away your voting rights and all this other stuff that they're doing out there to make sure you're minimalized.
And you're gonna get caught. You're gonna get caught because, like I said, you got to leave the store. Big Brother, the eye of the sky is everywhere. So once you got to get through the mall, how many people picked you up? And then when you go outside, I'm sure you didn't just run down the street. Sure, you jumped in a getaway car. So
license plates still on the car, dumbasses.
Yeah, so somebody got your information. It's a matter of time, and you going up the river for some lipstick.
Right, and then you can't say it's not you because mysteriously your phone pinged in that exact area when the crime was taking place.
We run into the garage, the C garage. Meet us over there.
Right.
Yeah, so like when I see stuff like this, and I want to put this out there too. We know it's not just us.
Yeah.
But if we don't put a foot to the backside of our own people, then like somebody else eventually is going to do it, right? And there's a saying is like we need to get our house in order before we talk about anybody else, right? And I know a lot of times, as I said before, in our community, we don't really like to talk about it because I guess we feel like white supremacy does enough talking about Black people, right? But this ain't talking about us. This is trying to get us together, right? We have Black codes. I'm not talking about the ones in slavery, but the Black codes. We got laws of my aunt that tells us how to behave and this, that, and the other. Neely Fuller Jr., he talks about the things that we should not be doing, and not stealing is one of them, right? And so we got to get past a point in our community where we can't have those conversations with each other. And so, Donovan, how do you think someone gets to that point where they're running and doing a smash and grab in a mall?
Well, you know, look at what our society is teaching these kids. When we have kids that are sitting in front of the TV rather than reading a book or doing their homework, you know, again, it starts at home. And when you're giving them iPads and things, and you know, and these influencers out there, you know, you say this all the time, and it's true. When somebody outside of your home has more influence over your kids than you as the parent, the parent's the problem, not the influencer. And a lot of these, you know, it's kind of like Kevin Samuels, God, you know, peace be unto him and God rest his soul. But he's showing you how a lot of these women out here, especially the younger women, they're delusional. You know, you got some women that are average, but they don't want an average man. But they're average in their, you know what I mean? It's like, you're not Beyonce, you know, like Kevin Samuels says. I know you're not a big Kevin Samuels fan, but if you really think about what he's saying, it's like, you know, you're putting yourself in this category. Like, I want to be like Kim Kardashian. There's only one Kim Kardashian. There's only one Rihanna.
Let's do a side note because I'm not a big Kevin Samuels fan. Like I said, RIP to him. Still kind of shocking, unbelievable that he is not here. I didn't disagree with everything he said. I agree with some of the things that he said. However, the argument of an average woman wanting an above average man is like, it's mostly the below average dudes telling an average woman that she shouldn't want an above average man. So I'm like,
well,
have y'all looked in the mirror lately?
Well, yeah. Well, again, it's all about, you know, and you're right. You can't be a man talking about an average man talking about, you know, telling a woman what she can and cannot have. But you got to kind of be, you know, realistic on both sides of it. And that's what I got when I listened to Kevin Samuels, because, you know, it didn't make sense when people are disregarding other people because he doesn't make six figures. If the majority of people make $40,000 in the Black community, that's, you know, or you won't date a guy because he's not 6 feet. You know, it's like, it's totally unrealistic and unbelievable. But back to the topic at hand, when we have parents that are sorely disconnected from their children in raising them and knowing what they're doing at all times, where are they picking this stuff up? I said this like last year, 2 years ago. How many damn bank robbery movies do we need to see before we get the point that, okay, it's like, when is Hollywood going to write something new? Every summer there's a bank robbing movie where Black people have no other choice but to do a heist and try to make it, and
what you will not do is talk bad about dead presidents, okay?
Oh no, Dead Presidents was awesome. I mean, but that was in the 90s. We're talking about, like, it seems like every week there's a Black person's only way out of poverty is to steal or to murder somebody. It's like, come on, it's like, again, when our women, and a lot of people don't know this because they're not looking at the numbers. Oh, where'd you get the numbers from? Stop it. The fastest growing group of people going to prison is Black women, believe it or not. And why is that? Because they're buying into the culture of, Demetra, we did a story. This woman murdered somebody over weave in Atlanta. Remember that story?
I remember that story.
Yeah, I mean, just crazy stuff like that. You got people right there in Houston that are going into weave shops and robbing the weave shop. It's gotten to that point to where, our women they're disassociating a want and a need. They can't decipher the difference. I had a woman in the DR tell me that it's a must for her to have her hair and nails done. I had to cut her off right then and there. I was done at that point. And a man is supposed to do it. I said, really? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I like how you just put all of this on the shoulders of women once again.
No, it's not all on the shoulders of women. Again, it's men too. But what I'm saying is, when I'm talking in regards to the fastest growing group of women, these are some of the reasons why those numbers are going up over buffoonery. Literally.
All right. Well, in this particular video, I saw 2 men and a woman. So I'm not sure what the deal was. I'm sure it was a boosting situation where they're going to go resell the goods on the street at half price or whatever to make some money. But so when we ask how did they get there, I always like to talk about the lack of parenting that is taking place nowadays in our community, because a lot of us can say that we didn't always grow up with the best of everything. I know in my family, a couple of times we struggled, and never once were we given the impression that it's okay to go take something from somebody else in order for us to have, right? We grew up back in the day that if you did steal something and brought something home that didn't belong to you, your mama and your daddy was like, where did you get that from? Because I don't recall buying it. You ain't got no job. You ain't, you don't have.
You don't find nobody. Remember good times?
Yeah.
Go and find it.
Yeah. I didn't give you the money. We didn't buy this. So where did you get it from? Right. So we used to have those types of checks and balances. But nowadays we have gotten to a point where, and I'm not saying all parents, but it just seems this way, that parents, for one, like I remember when we were coming up, you couldn't be unaccounted for. Right. I'm going outside. Okay, where are you going? I'm going over Michi house, and then I'm going over here to such and such house. Right. Okay, and you better be over there, because if I call her mama and you ain't there, it's gonna be some problems, right?
Or remember, your mom will be sitting in the house, and you have to be within earshot of her voice.
Yeah, but I'm saying, especially when we got old enough to be able to wander off the block per se, we were accounted for. But I could drive up the street anywhere, given time of the day, even night, and see young kids or kids that should be accounted for anyway, walking around unsupervised. And so one thing, parents have really stopped parenting and stopped holding their kids accountable. I mean, I know there's times where if you did bring something home, or your mom or dad found out you were stealing, let's say you got found out stealing from a store, they would cart your little behind back to that store, and you
embarrass your ass
and tell the manager what you took, and ask the manager, is there something he or she needs to do for stealing? They're like, no, ma'am, that's enough. So the point that I'm making is, they were held accountable, but now we live in society like, shoot, child, what did you get some? Did you get some? What kind of lipstick you got? Because I'm running out of my lipstick.
Yeah, we're buying into it. And the funny thing is, here in California, the laws are encouraging people to do that because they will not prosecute for anything under $1,000 here in California.
Well, also in California, which is where it happened, they have where due to the COVID,
Yeah.
the no bonds, the no bail,
No bail,
you
right.
know, they got rid of the cash, the bail system or something like that.
Yeah.
It makes it easier, what I'm trying to say, for people to bail out. And so I don't know if that is encouraging the people. I don't think that it would be, but you know, we got to get back to old school parenting of holding our children accountable, because let's say on the flip side of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Barney Fife was in that mall for you. I'm dating myself now. For those of you guys who know Barney Fife is, he played on the Andy Griffith Show. He was Don Knotts' character, and he didn't.
Yeah, a lot of people say that I have his attitude.
Yeah, he didn't even want to carry a
Super
gun,
sensitive.
right? Yeah, he didn't carry a gun. It was in Mayberry, and they
no, he carried a gun. He didn't carry a gun with bullets. He had that one bullet in his pocket.
Yeah, so you know, it was just But let's say they had the 2022 Barney Fife that was in that mall, and he saw 3 black kids or whatever running through the mall with stolen goods, and he decided to take one of their life. Benjamin Crump would have showed up. Al Sharpton would have showed up. Yeah. Everybody in their mind, you didn't have to shoot them. Yeah. It's just lipstick. It was just makeup. And so it's like, we get mad when white supremacy gets a hold of them. Now, I'm not saying, you know, white supremacy does it because they're right. I'm just saying in general. Yeah. They get a hold. And I personally wouldn't think that somebody should be shot over stealing makeup. I'm not saying that. But let's say that an overzealous police officer did that, then we'd be having a different conversation.
Sure.
But the other thing is, why can't we just have that conversation before it gets to that point and say, stop taking stuff that doesn't belong to you? Because now, even with the gas prices and coronavirus and everything, the pandemic is still going on. I'm hearing about people, even, you know, especially Black people, are at the gas station with their piece in the air as they're pumping gas, because they're like, I don't want some so-and-so, a Pookie, Ray, Jim Bob, or whoever, to run up on me while I'm pumping gas, try to steal my car and do something to me. So I'm ready to light them up.
Damn,
so,
what kind of neighborhood does that person live in?
Well, I've heard about it from people in all kind of neighborhoods. You could be in Beverly Hills. You have the Cerritos Mall ain't in the hood.
Right.
The Cerritos Mall is in a good neighborhood.
Good neighborhood, so,
it don't matter where you at, but we're living in that time to where, and you know who a lot of it is? It's the young kids. The young kids are the shooters or the ones that's hitting you over the head. And so it's like, what is going on at home to where they feel like that's okay? Like, I know me and you used to be scared of getting an ass whipping from our parents for even doing something remotely wrong outside, let alone that.
I used to get an ass whipping for getting on my knees in my church clothes.
You know what I'm saying? You still in your cool clothes. You didn't thaw this meat out, and you know I got to cook dinner. What we gonna do? You know
exactly.
So, but imagine, you know, coming home or getting caught. And listen, we know our folks. Now, God forbid if that was my daughter, I would know that was my daughter if I saw that video. I'd be like, I'll be goddamn, that's my daughter. Oh, okay. What you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You gonna allow them to come up in your house with all that stuff? More than likely, parents do.
Well, yeah, you got to remember a lot of our the parents nowadays, not our generation. I think maybe our kids' generation. They're friends with. You know, I cringe when I hear, especially women, talk about my mom is my best friend. You're lost. You're finished. Because if your mother is your best friend, you weren't raised correctly. Because now, as a child, you don't respect your mom. You respect her as a peer, not as your mother. And when I hear that, that is the stupidest thing. Even when the mother says, oh, my daughter's my best friend. No, what it is you've just condemned your daughter to be miserable like you know, to do whatever it is, you know, you aren't doing. It's just sad.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, and it's not just on the moms, it's on the dads too.
Well, the dads ain't around, so we ain't worried about that.
You know what, though? The daddies need to be around. I can tell you a story.
They do.
I was on Facebook today, and I saw somebody had posted a picture of 2 brothers. I guess they were gay. 2 brothers adopted a little boy, and they were all disgusted. Oh, that's so disgusting. Oh, they sick. Oh, why these gay people adopting kids and all this other stuff. And you know what I said? Ain't nobody else said nothing after it. I said, then why don't you take your black wife to the adoption agency and adopt the black kids?
Do you know how hard it is and how many black kids are just thrown away and aren't adopted? I mean, you got white kids going to Africa and China to get kids when you got perfectly decent kids right here.
And the point to that is, and it was all men, by the way, black men riding down on these brothers. Oh, they gay. They shouldn't be adopting kids, this, that, and the other. I said, well, take your black wife to the adoption agency and adopt the Black kids. And I said the other thing is, and I was actually having this part of the conversation with my daughter, is these be the same dudes who ain't even in the lives of their children. They got another man via maybe it's their baby mama's new husband or boyfriend or whatever. You got another man under the roof with your child, but you sitting up here talking about these gay dudes taking these little boy and adopting them and all this other stuff. Like
facts.
So it's like y'all just want to be mad at something, but don't forget to bring the father into the situation. You know, if you feel a certain type of way about gay men adopting kids, then why aren't you lined up at the building trying to get you one?
Absolutely. And, you know, and the sad thing is, again, in all statistical categories, Black people are either the last or the worst affected, no matter what category it is. I mean, we don't get adopted. Why would Madonna go all the way to Africa to adopt a child when you got perfectly good children right here that are in Chicago that lost their parents, or New Orleans, or, you know, Texas and Houston?
The ideology, from what I understand, I could be wrong. It's rare that I'm wrong, but it could.
Yeah, it's very rare. Yeah.
Is that it's a little bit easier, I guess, to adopt over there than here. I don't know how that works, especially if you got some money. Hell, you could, you know, and also the other ideology is children over here, even though they're in the adoptive adoptive agencies. System. That's what I was looking for. Even though they're in there, they're going to be fed and housed and things like that. But in Africa, a lot of those orphans or, you know, people or kids are being adopted. They don't have anybody to take care of them. Sometimes they're on their own, fending for themselves or whatever. So I think that's kind of why people do it. Don't quote me on that. But so the point that I'm making is the mom and the dad in our community need to get together and figure out how to raise conducive children. And we just do not do that anymore. Children are wayward, right?
Well, and you got to think about this too. I mean, I'm not a super religious person. I'm like you. I'm very spiritual and stuff like that. And I do believe in a higher power. But remember when we were coming up, everybody went to church. When Big Mama went to church, when Grandmama went to church, everybody went to church. And I'm not saying you're going to get everything, because we know that the church has been infiltrated by a lot of infidels and the pastors taking advantage of all of, you know, we understand all that. I'm a Catholic. You know, the Catholic Church has a lot of problems. But the point is, though, we knew the basics. Don't kill your mama. Honor your parents. You know, don't steal. So on, so on. Don't covet your neighbor's goods. You know, the basics. These kids ain't going to school, church no more. Or, you know, they don't have any foundation in anything. Mama's too tired because she didn't get home till 2:00 last night. Then she went to Waffle House or whatever to fight with the strippers at the Waffle House. And then, so that means she didn't get out of jail till 6 that morning. That Monday morning, when she got arraigned that Monday morning after the stripper fight at the Waffle House.
Was that before or after she got her wig snatched off? Yeah,
exactly. You know, during that time, you know, these kids don't have any foundation in anything. They don't believe in anything. That's why this is my personal opinion. I think this is why they don't fear death. They don't fear the future. They don't plan for the future. To them, I heard a kid actually tell me here in Moreno Valley that he doesn't worry about 5 years from now. He worries about today. He's trying to live today, not 5 years from now, not tomorrow. He's trying to survive today.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's because our children have become desensitized for a whole host of reasons. But I mean, like I said, we've got to figure out a better way to parent our children. And we also in our community need to stop acting like the things that we are doing. And you guys know I don't go with the whole black on black crime thing, because there's, you know, that's something that's made up, the term anyway, by white supremacy. But because we know that crime is about proximity. So people tend to do things to people that they're close to. However, we cannot keep ignoring that it is an issue. We hear about it a lot, right? We hear about grandmothers and moms and dads and, you know, whoever are in our neighborhoods. They're afraid to walk outside. They're afraid to sit on their porches because they're afraid that they're going to catch a bullet that's not intended for them. They're afraid somebody's going to come and try to kick their door in. And I tell you all the time, I'm looking for a house to buy, and I would love to buy a house in our neighborhood, but I'm just going to keep it 100 with you. I'm not looking forward to buying a house in our neighborhoods and then somebody kicking the door in on me. You know what I mean? And I know that may sound a little bit negative, but I'm not a fool, right? I like to use wisdom. And I do know that goes on. And so, it's sad that we can't even be
among each other,
feel safe around each other.
Mm.
And that's because, and then Donovan, you bring up the women, but I like to bring up the men. The men that live in the neighborhood, 30, 40 years ago, they didn't have, our neighborhoods didn't have crime as much as it did, because you had men who stayed and they took people to task, right?
You couldn't just walk in the neighborhood, right?
Well, you hear about, Junebug was doing something or whatever. Then the man or some older man or whoever be like, listen, Junebug, we gonna need you to get right or whatever, right? It's gonna be some consequences, but those men are not there anymore. And, within the police comes in there and the police does things, bad and kill somebody, then we cry about it. But it's like, what happened to the community policing? Why are our men so afraid to take control of the neighborhood and our community and lead and get these children, with the help of the mom, not to say this on the dad, but make it a safer place for our elderly to want to go take a walk. And I tell you all the time, I like to go walking, but y'all know why I don't walk anymore? Now, this doesn't really have anything to do necessarily with the hood, but kind of, sort of.
Yeah, but you used to walk out here in California all the time.
All the time. But I stopped cold in my tracks. Well, for one, when I got, that pit bull ran up on me, I thought I was going to die, and I've been traumatized, by it. But I also know that sometimes in certain neighborhoods, sorry, that's my alarm. Sometimes in certain neighborhoods, we have dogs that are on the loose. And a lot of times we like the dangerous dogs, the pit bulls. For whatever reason, they taken care of. And they
manhood on a leash.
Yeah, and I don't want to, be accosted or attacked or eaten to death by a dog and stuff. And so there's a lot of things that we just got to get control over again. Otherwise, everything's already going to hell. Is going to plummet past that if we don't.
Yeah, and the funny thing is you bring that up when we talk about the neighborhood and the men that used to do that, like the stories I heard about my dad and his friends. You couldn't just come into the neighborhood, walk in the neighborhood, case in the neighborhood without them kind of checking you out. They would just at least check you out. That's why I put so much pressure on these. Well, I don't put pressure on them, but I have so much disrespect for these so-called gang members that claim all of this claim all of this territory, and they don't defend it. People would have more respect for you because it's like in the movie The Godfather. You went to the guy, okay, everybody knew what this guy did, right? They would go to him and he made sure justice was handled to certain people. Remember the beginning of The Godfather? Oh, I'm sorry, Godfather, I didn't want to get into trouble with you. That's why I didn't come to you. He goes, I'm the godfather to your daughter. Now you come to me on my daughter's wedding and you want me to do a murder for you, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he would handle it. There's street justice and you got the other type of justice. And back when we were coming up, you had neighborhoods that were doing that. But again, where was the catalyst that this all stopped? Right after the leaders in the civil rights movement were shot down. It's almost like the people that were next up became cowards.
But can I just interject something in there really quick?
Sure.
Why do we need the leaders to lead us? Why can't we just be individual leaders, and the men in the community say, well, our leaders on the main stage are no longer here, but that doesn't absolve us from leading and taking control back. Now I will say this. I did see a video of a brother who ran up on a white man that was in the community, and the white man did appear to be watching the kids or whatever, getting off the bus. He ran up on him. He was like, what you doing over here? You looking real suspicious. Don't make me fire on you. Take off on you. Get your ass up out. So I did say, I want to, say that.
Yeah.
And there are situations where our men do, cases.
Yeah, they stand up.
Or whatever. But I'm saying overall.
But it's so few. It's so few.
Yeah. It shouldn't be an anomaly. It should be the other way around. Like, damn, did you hear that something happened and Jim Bob didn't do nothing?
Right.
That should be rare.
Right. And when I say the catalyst of and I'm not blaming the civil rights era people, what I'm saying is, because remember at the end of the civil rights, that's when they really ramped up drafting a lot of blacks and browns to go fight in Vietnam and stuff. And these guys came back all fucked up. Right. So there was nobody in our homes. I'll give a good example. My dad did 2 tours in Vietnam, from my understanding. My mom will tell you he didn't come back the same person. He wasn't like jacked up because he ended up dying shortly after that in 1975. But the point is, you could kind of see a catalyst where all of these young men that had young families couldn't cope. They got on dope. They were just messed up. And when you don't have that leadership to teach the next generation, and let's face it, not everybody's a strong mom like your mom was, like my mom was, and grandma and all these other folks. Some people just, they just let it go. And so you're right, but how do you teach the next generation if you weren't even taught, or your grandparents just let you run wild and do what you wanted to do? But by the time that they try to reel you in, it's too late. I'm a young man with 30 children and I'm a truck driver. It's too late.
Well, so I want to say this, just keeping along with your narrative of, the men went off to war and things like that during and after the civil rights movement. Dr. Ava Muhammad of the Nation of Islam, she's a student minister to that of Farrakhan. She has a book called Weapons of Self-Destruction. And I really love that book because she took women to task. And she says, listen, I know that it's not fair that for whatever reason, the man is not there, whether he left, he died, whatever happened.
Yeah, whatever happened.
She says, but you're there with the children. So what's your excuse for not doing better as far as raising the children, right? Because she is basically like, we can't keep saying, oh, well, the man is not here. Oh, I'm a single mama, the daddy. Okay, so he is not there. So he doesn't have a direct influence on the child like you do.
Sure. So
why are you not pouring better into your children and taking the time to rear them in the right manner? Because, I know plenty of people who was raised by a single mom. My dad was one of them. Raised by a single mom, but my grandma was one tough lady and she didn't take no mess.
Right.
She didn't take no mess at all, right? And she made sure, by no uncertain terms, that her children did what they were supposed to do.
Right.
And they all, grew to be very successful, this, that, and the other. But the point that I'm making is, what type of single mom are you choosing to be? Are you clinging on to excuses and that, well, he left me, and so, they would probably be better if the daddy was around? Are you saying the daddy is not here, but it's still my duty to raise good children, set good examples, and make sure that I am, pouring something into them that they can use? And let's just take it a step further, that I'm not twerking on social media, or I'm not bringing Jim, Bob, John, Robert, and they all got uncles in front of their name. This is your Uncle Bob. What happened to Uncle Mike last week? So you're not parading a bunch of dudes in, and you're doing all that you can to make sure your kids are going to be all right. So to sum all that up, single moms, and I know it ain't all of you, you cannot keep using the father not being there as an excuse, because you are there. And if you're turning out your Ray Rays and your Pookies and your Boomqueeshas and all of them, then you ultimately have to answer for that. Just like when you do good, right? And your son gets to the NBA or the NFL,
Mama's sitting right there at the draft table.
Yes, hollering and happy. So you want the credit for that, but you don't want the credit for when Ray and Pookie and them out there hitting people over the head for their stuff. Well, along with the fame, as my younger brother says all the time, along with the fame comes the blame. You got to answer for them both.
Right. Yeah. You just can't be. It can't be one-sided. Like I said, I think it's a myriad of things that go on. But like I said, when you don't have a foundation of right and wrong, and I think that's really huge in our community. We don't have a foundation of right and wrong. We are continually losing money in our community. A third of us lost wealth in 2008 during the housing crisis bubble. So we're like descending into a level of poverty. I'm not making excuses for what's going on, but because there are a lot of jobs right now. Now let's face it. We have to be realistic, young people. You got to be realistic. I'll tell you, Demetra wanted to be the president of the NAACP when she was in high school because she started some little black group.
Well, not the NAACP, but I started the Black Student Union at our high school because we didn't have one.
Right. But the point is you were realistic, knowing that you got to start somewhere and work your way up. You can't just start at the top. And then, ladies, here's another problem that we have. Okay, let's say you do have a young son and the father's not there. Now, did you Pookie and Ray Ray to be his father, okay, that's a different story. But here's the thing, even if you have a young son, my mother was a widow. Do you know my mom had expectations on me and my brother that I never even thought I would make? Because I wanted to join the military if I had to go that route, which I did, and I wanted to just take a computer job because I'm really good at computers, right? My mama said, I ain't signing off on this, ain't happening. Because her expectations of what I could be was that much greater for myself because she saw greater in me. And I know kids right now, you say, okay, well, you talk to their the young parents. Well, I would ask them, well, what's your expectation for your son? Well, he don't make it to the NBA or he don't become a football player. It's like, okay, that's all good and great. In my household, if you came home with a less than a A in PE, oh, there's some repercussions because that isn't something. You're Black. You're supposed to be good at athletics. So that ain't impressive. It's great that you do it, but that ain't impressive.
Right. And so as y'all can see here at the bottom, I put the book up. I'm going to try to do that when I reference a book. So because that way people say, what book was that? Weapons of Self-Destruction by Dr. Ava Muhammad. Very good, easy book to read. Very enlightening. It'll give you, especially for women, right? She's really talking to women on things that we can do differently.
Can you put up the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the
things we can do differently in relationships and as far as ourselves, just to help make our community better. A very, very good book. I suggest that everybody read it, but that's where I got the information in regards to single moms. You're there with the kids, so you need to stop using that the daddy ain't there as an excuse because you are there.
But let me ask you this question in regards to the single mother, and let's forget the single mother. Do you think that if these young men would take responsibility for the lives that they bring to this planet and they stay with the moms, because we're finding out a lot of these mothers, young mothers, have been brainwashed by Aunt Claudine to take career first, education first, then go have children or whatever. Or some of them have the kids with multiple baby daddies, and we know that that's pretty prevalent because 80% of Black women are not married, or 70%, I'm sorry, are not married by choice or whatever the reasons, if the dad's dead or whatever. What do you think would happen if Black men actually did what they were supposed to do as men and dealing with their responsibilities? We're not saying you have to marry the woman, but you're taking care of your responsibilities. Do you know that out of the 70% of Black women that are single mothers, if half of, I think it's like 30% or 40% of, no, it's 20 something percent of them are not in poverty. They're not in poverty. They're making it. They're doing what they're supposed to do. But the majority of Black women are in poverty. Why? Because the other the other parent is not absent, and they are not going to get the child support. They're basically condemning themselves and their children to poverty because of the men that they're selecting that are not stepping up to the plate. That's why I think that if the father took care of his responsibilities like he's supposed to, regardless of if he wants to be with her or not. You ain't got to be with her. Take care of your responsibilities. Your children wouldn't be raised in an environment of poverty, destitution, and murder and crime. What do you think?
Well, you remember we used to hear of things called shotgun weddings, where if you got someone's daughter pregnant, the daddy would show up at your door with his pew-pew.
Right, or the strong mom.
Whoever.
Yeah.
And say, you did this to my daughter, and I need you to make her an honest woman.
Right, make her right.
I need y'all to go jump this damn broom, and I need y'all to make a union in a house for this, child. Oh, I need some water. A union in a house for this child. But we don't have that anymore in our communities. Back then, men would be scared to knock up somebody's daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be like, F you, son, I ain't taking care of that child. Mama's baby daddy. A man would be scared to do that because they know they was going to get a...
Yeah. Do you know what's crazy? Did you know what's really crazy? They didn't give out prophylactics. And for those of you guys who know what prophylactics is, birth control, back in our parents' day. You had to either be married to get it, or have a special reason to get it. And they didn't have these wild multiple births back then. But now we have all of these prophylactics and things that are going out, and people are just ending up pregnant everywhere. I mean, make it make sense.
Yeah, but even then, you assume the risk, right?
Yeah.
You knew that sex is for procreation. Everything else is added on, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've turned it into everything else, but what I'm saying is the accountability factor is not there anymore. I don't know. I wasn't there in the 1950s or 60s. I know you were, but
wait a minute.
I would imagine that if somebody, laid down with, somebody, they would probably say, well, damn, there's a lot of what ifs here. Mm-hmm. What if you get pregnant and I'm going to have to take care of the child, right? And so people just, even back then, people got together, got married or whatever, and they didn't really want to, but it's like, well, damn, Betty's got a child on the way, so I'm going to have to do what I got to do, marry her and make an honest. See, that was a thing where it was a big thing to make an honest woman out of the woman that you impregnated, right? Honest means that I'm not going to have her roaming around the streets as a single mama unmarried with this child. An honest woman means that I'm going to answer for her now. I'm going to give her my name, and we are going to raise these children.
Wait. Are you saying Uncle Sugar had no part in?
Listen, Uncle Sugar, aka the government, would not be that needed in our communities if men and women stayed together. But we don't do that. And one thing I will say about Kevin Samuels, he was a numbers guy. He talked a lot about the income, average income of Black men and women. And he said Black men and women are going to need each other. Especially for what's to come, because we're just not going to be able to afford to make it on our own, not decently anyway, right? But we won't get past all the nonsense in our community to say, you know what? Yeah, I don't like everything you do. I don't like everything you say, but we are going to be better together, because Black men and Black women, we are supposed to be nation builders. But the way we're operating now, we are destroying nations.
Each other. Mm-hmm.
We're destroying nations by not wanting to stick together. And again, not to use other communities or races as a litmus test, but they're not fighting with each other. Listen, John may not like Betty, but John understands I'm going to stay with Betty to raise these kids until they because we hear about it, especially like with white people, all the kids go to college and it's like, did you hear Betty and John are not together anymore? Well, yeah, the last kid went off to college and
they split up after that.
But they kept the unit intact enough to get the children out the house. And Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin actually had a conversation there. It's been trending around for a couple of years. And the conversation was about 2 or so hours long. But the clip that was circulating is he was saying, basically when he's at work and he has to deal with the white man, they call him the cracker back then, we're angry, this, that, and the other, but we can't really just assert ourselves at work because we lose a job. So Nikki Giovanni was more or less like, well, why can't you fake it with me? You go and fake it with the cracker. These are their words. You go fake it with the cracker. You smile in his face all day long. Right. But why you can't come home and do it with me? Why do you come home and take out the frustrations of the world on me? She says, can't you at least fake it long enough so we can raise these children?
Wait a minute. The reason why I don't fake it with you is because you're there so I can take out my frustrations. No, I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about like sexually.
I don't think
that's where you went to the moon.
No, I don't think we have too many problems with that. But I'm saying, as far as, oh, this ain't right. What you doing? And then you want to say, well, because the white man put his whip to my back all day long at the job, so I'm going to come home and take it out on you. And to her point, is like, well, fake it with me. Because you faking it with me because you got respect enough for the white man to fake it with him, but you don't have respect enough to me. Fake it with me. So fake it with me so that we at least we can pretend to get along, especially in front of these children. And so we can raise them up. And then if we got an issue when the kids is gone and raised, then we can deal with it from that point. But you can't come home and take it out on me because for whatever reason, a man is putting his foot to your backside.
Mm-hmm. Well, you remember the movie The 5 Heartbeats? You had the, and everybody was happy for him, right? Then he goes to his father and his father goes, he ain't shit because I ain't shit. So men, if you're listening to this broadcast, go get your families, get them together. Demetra's a woman, and I'm not saying what she's saying is irrelevant because it is very important, but you got to hear this from other men. We are failing because we're not standing up. You can't put all this on the women's shoulder. Yeah, they're carrying their part. Matter of fact, more so than their part. But all it takes is for you to go take care of your responsibilities and get your child out of poverty by paying your child support if you owe that child support. Stop worrying about she's getting $400 weave and nails and all that other stuff. If you got a suspicion of that, put the white man on her and have her deal with that, you know? But the main reason our kids are being raised without no hope, one of the main reasons is because they're growing up in poverty because daddy is not there. Daddy made a poor decision and went to jail for 15 years and then wants to come out talking about, oh, my boy Shaq, I'm ready for Shaq. Oh, yeah, he's a pro now. No, it doesn't work that way. We need each other. Yes, these women give us hell. I'm the first to say it. These women give us hell. But you knew the job was dangerous when you took it, Fred.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is let's talk about this. And this is not just geared toward men. It's geared toward women, too. You got one child you can't take care of, but you keep laying down and having kids by multiple people. So when you have kids by multiple people, and let's talk about the men, you have kids by multiple people. That means that you got multiple streams of income going out because you got to take care of this child, that household, and more than likely she's going to put your ass in the system. And so how can you nation build or do anything when you got so much money going out only because you're haphazard with your little head?
Do you know what's crazy about that, Demetra? Then when you mature and you finally mature yourself and you see the woman you really want, guess what disqualifies you?
All
those damn children you got, because that woman sees I can't build with you because all of this money would be coming out of our household. So now the woman you really want, the one you really love, you can't have her because of what you did in the past.
And not only that, you got all these kids and mouths to feed, and you probably ain't got no money. But I don't want to deal with baby mama drama. You know, I don't want to deal with it. She ringing your phone all the time. She asked me for this. She doing this. I'm not talking about stuff dealing with the kids. I'm talking about stuff outside of the kids, right? And let's just even say dealing with the kids. Like, I get it if you got one. Most people got one child. But 15? 5? It's like, I don't have time to be in a relationship with me.
See, and I don't understand that because I'm not saying I'm a rich man because I'm not. But economically, I could only have 2 children because that's all I could afford. I barely could afford the one.
If you're doing it right.
You know I could barely afford the one. And, you know, and so I only had 2. So that restricted me from having, you know, any more children that, you know, that I wanted if I did want any more children. I really don't. But you know, I mean, it's just a sad thing because the world needs more Donovans and Dominiques. I'm just saying, the world would be a better place. Mama, you're the, you know. you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Papa was a rolling stone.
No, but you know, because like a lot of guys would ask me, you know, well, you know, what about this? What about that? You're condemning your children to a life of poverty when you don't produce and put into their lives. And that's what really affects a lot of our children. I get tired of these kids in the modern 21st century talking about the hood. At this stage in Americana, there should be no hoods. There should be no hoods.
No, unfortunately, there's always going to be a hood, but the quality of the hood, I think, should be in question. You know, people sometimes, you know, as I said, on good times, ain't we lucky we got it? You know, sometimes.
No, but think about this, though. With the money that goes into the Black community, Black women spend, what, $14 billion in the beauty industry? $14 billion. 1.7, yeah, 1.73 trillion. Is it trillion? Yeah, $1 trillion. $1 trillion in the Black community every year. And look how our neighborhoods look. You know, I mean, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And if people would think more of chess versus checkers, they would wise up and say, yeah, you got women that live in the hood that have $600 weaves, $200 nail sets or whatever they got, and their pedicures and stuff. All this Sephora makeup, like you just showed. They're on the system, but yet, okay, they're got Section 8, whatever, and that's fine. I'm not downing all that, whatever. Look at all the money that's in the neighborhood, and yet look at how the hood looks. We shouldn't have that type of thing. And then even if you're in the hood, remember back in the day, everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew everybody.
Well, the other thing too, those women with the $600 weaves and the nails and all that, they also got boyfriends that's driving Mercedes with Jordans and chains and gold teeth, and they pulling that up to a Section 8 apartment. So everybody's priorities are messed up, right? Yeah. But again, as I said, you know, if we would practice staying together and stop lying down with everybody and busting it open and planting seeds with people you ain't trying to be with, that's going to save you a lot of money. I mean, how much is child support depending on what you pay every year? How much does it cost a man to pay child support from a child till they're born, and in some cases till they're 22, 24 years old? How much?
You're talking about a little over $350,000, and that's bare minimum child support. Bare minimum.
That's a lot of money.
That's one child. That's one child.
That's a lot of money for you to but I ain't trying to be with you. You know, so we need to practice that, but just winding this story up here. Yeah. You know, the other thing I really want to talk about is lifestyle. We in the black community, we so wrapped up into lifestyle. Oh, I got to have the latest. I got to have the new. Yeah. Or I know a booster who could get it, or a booster's like, oh, you want that? Okay, I'll go get it, but this is what's going to cost you for me to go get it. Right. Whatever. So we caught up on labels and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a label person per se. There's some things that I do like because of the quality. Sure.
Yeah, but you gotta take care of your feet. You gotta take care of your feet.
Yeah, all of that, right? I like that's why I do wear good shoes, because you know, just your knees and everything else will go back. But the point that I'm making is, unfortunately, we are label listed. I just made that up to a fault, right? And so sometimes we even risk going to jail for it. Get me the latest, this, that, and the other. And it's like, other thing people need to realize too is, regardless of what system you believe in, stealing is a curse. So you mean to tell me you're going to buy something stolen from somebody? I'd be afraid to put some stolen eyeliner in my eye. I'd be afraid my damn eyeball fell out.
Now you remember we used to go to the Crenshaw Mall to get the discount, but it was a legitimate mall. It was a discounted place, but it was discount mall. But and another thing is, especially for young black men, please listen to me. Do you know, because of the kids that you have, a disproportionate number of young black men are homeless and hobos on the street because they can't afford to pay their child support, and they can't hold a job and all this other stuff. And so as they get into their 50s, like myself, they don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. Over what? 2 minutes of pleasure?
And ultimately, whose fault is that?
Exactly.
It's your fault. We got to take responsibility over what we do. If I, God forbid, I had a child, which would be a miracle. But if I lay down with somebody and I accidentally get pregnant, well, I assume the risk. Yeah. I know, especially because I'm protected, even with protection, because none of it is 100%, you know, fail-proof or whatever. But you assume the risk. And so, as I always say, don't get in bed with somebody you don't want to have to be with for really life, but financially speaking, 18 to 24 years. Ask yourself, before you get into bed with this person you don't even know if you like, right? You know that you like, they got a big booty, but before you get into bed with them, be like, okay, I say just ask yourself 2 questions. Do I want to spend 18 years with this person? And do I want to spend 18 years paying for a child we might create? If the answer is no to either one of those, then get your ass up.
Exactly.
Go take a cold shower, do what you need to do, and say, whew, I dodged the potential bullet.
Exactly. I mean, you don't know how many guys my age that didn't join the, and I'm saying the military is not the big, there's a lot of guys in the military that owe child support. These guys have, we're talking about Joe Biden forgiving student debt. He needs to forgive some damn child support so these guys can have a chance. I mean, how could you be in your 60s talking about you owe compounded interest almost $250,000 in back child support, and you haven't addressed it yet?
Yeah, I think the interest is ridiculous. I think they should get rid of some of the interest, if not all of it, on the child support.
The child is 40 years old, and you still got child support.
Well, I don't. That personally wouldn't be me. I'd be like, hey, you know what?
But there's a lot of these young men that aren't being taught that by their mamas because their mother was getting child support, and we don't put it on the women to teach the young men that because they're the child at the time, so the mom ain't gonna teach all that stuff. But men, you got to take care of your responsibilities because you're gonna grow old one day. I can't believe I'm 52, but I am. I can't believe it. I know I look like 28, but
I'm about to say, you sure it's not 62?
Scatman Crothers. Who's that look like Scatman? Yeah. No, a Hong Kong Fooey. So it's crazy, but yeah, but I think that if these kids continue to do that, they're ruining their lives. We're in a digital age. You're not getting away with what you're doing. Right now, the white man is biding his time until he can get all of this stuff situated and you pinpointed, and they're just going to be a matter of time before they get another black man who went to the sheriff's department or the police department to arrest you and put you in handcuffs to do some time.
Yes, indeed, people. So that's our time. We love and appreciate y'all for staying this far. If you guys would, you could donate to the channel. Demetri K. You have Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. Or think about becoming a member or whatever you can. Like the video at the very least. We'd love and appreciate you for that. And those of you guys who want to and can't, we understand too. It's all love. So anyway, we will see y'all on Wealth Wednesdays with Walter
tomorrow.
Another exciting ride. Walter, as I said, is going to start talking about that the Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson.
I'm going to tune into that.
Yeah, for a business standpoint, because people's like, well, how do I start a business? What Carter G. Woodson talked about in the Miseducation of the Negro so many years ago. So Walter is going to start tapping into that to start talking about that. So stay tuned. We will see you guys later. Be safe. Have a great day. And again, we'll see y'all tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central Time with Wealth Wednesdays with Walter. Peace.
Peace out.